All right, tonight we are playing Rogue Signal. It was a free tabletop role-playing game designed for one-shots, released last year by a company of the same name, but unfortunately they appear to have disappeared off the face of the earth by now. I don't know why. All of their accounts have been deleted. F's in chat. So I couldn't find any links to anything out there, but hey, I have downloaded a PDF of the game, so we're going to play it. Yay for digital backups. Woo! It is a sci-fi western sort of movie generator, basically. It's made to tell a quick, dynamic story that shouldn't take hopefully too long, and that we can wrap up in a single night here. You all have your pre-gen characters, which we'll be discussing shortly. And I guess I can just start by describing the rules. On your sheet, you've already picked some things for your agendas and personas, but you'll have a list of stats on the right side of your sheet near the top left. Those boxes are empty if they are neutral, and they are full if they are strong, essentially. If they have an X across them, that's actually a weakness. So you are extra bad at that task. But there's just 3 levels, right? There's weakness, neutral, or strong at a stat. If you're strong at something, you roll 2 dice in a die pool. If you're neutral at something, you'll roll 1 die. And if you are weak at something, or limited as the game calls it, you actually roll 1 die and then subtract 1 from that result. But we can go over those rules as we need to. I'm sure the specific details of every roll we can figure out as we go, and we'll learn as we play, I'm sure. Saves are more reactive things. Generally, they are for if I throw something at you out of the blue, or maybe there's a big consequence coming, you want to try to avoid it, whatever, you can try to roll a save. And they're very loosely split into action and presence, where action is anything you do physically, and presence is anything you do mentally or emotionally to resist something, whether that's resisting intimidation, or maybe, I don't know, if we get into psionic shit, who knows where this one shot will go, you may be resisting that, or quick thinking and creative problem solving, all that kind of stuff would be a presence type save. And, action gets you out of danger otherwise. I don't believe you can save against consequences you caused, so it's not like a resistance system like a lot of other like Blades in the Dark, Fortune in the Dark type games have, but it is there otherwise. Sparks you earn by playing into your persona with dramatic moments. So those persona things you wrote down earlier that you checked off, whenever you manage to actually incorporate one of those elements, and you can argue like, hey, betrayal is the ultimate sin, I checked that one off and I roleplayed into that element of my character, you can take a spark. You get to choose one of the boxes under the spark category to fill. You just check it off or something. And then later you can spend that spark to get an extra die on your roll. If you can argue that particular emotion applies to the roll. Maybe you make the roll with malice or something, right? And you use the malice spark that you acquired earlier. And then you get an extra die on your roll. Pretty sweet. The harm chart is very simple. It goes top to bottom, being nicked, wounded, and wrecked. If you take harm, generally, it'll go straight to nicked, and then if you're already nicked, you'll go to wounded, and if you are already wounded, you'll go to wrecked. And wrecked could mean you are out of the game. It could mean you're dead, it could mean you're knocked out, it could just mean you're out of the scene, and you'll come back next scene. It depends on some other factors that we'll get to when we get there. Mostly luck, and how likely it is you'll actually survive whatever happened. Masteries are things you can roll instead of your stats, so they're generally a lot more specific than just like strength, right? I see that Seraphine, for example, has a mastery over blade dancing. So if you can argue in a specific role you're making that blade dancing makes more sense than your stats, like you're specifically doing something that you would call blade dancing, you just get to roll 3 dice instead of the 2 dice that you would have from your stat. Or it doesn't really even matter what your stat is. You could just go straight to 3 dice as a base. You could even add sparks to that if you wanted to. It's just a great way to get really good skills, even if you're overcoming other weaknesses and stuff. Your talent is something unique to your character, and the rules for it are written on your character sheet, but generally the talent is a way your character kind of bends or breaks the rules. So you have some exceptions to the rules of the game in your talent, essentially. Domains are things your character knows a lot about, and generally, you can roll like a save against your domain. Basically, it's like saying, "Hey, DM, I have back channels on my domain. Do I know anything about the back channels in this situation that would help me here?" And then I could help you come up with an answer to that question, basically. Well, we would roll for it, but yeah, we can get to the mechanics of that if it comes up. Your gear is just things you have on you, and we can kind of work out the mechanics of it as we go. Some of them are a little vague, but that's how these kind of games go. Some of them do have some like dice listed and stuff, but again, we will work that out as we go. The story tools, I don't actually remember what those were. I apologize. Story tools, there we go. So these give you some extra agency over the direction of the story. Each one is used once per session, which is why there's a checkbox next to it. They let you, control the story a little bit, right? The raise is, if you check off the raise, it means you get to upgrade a result of a roll. Maybe you got a success, you turn it into a critical, or maybe you got a failure, you turn it into a mixed success, or whatever. You just bump up the result a little bit. The other ones are, we can just kind of go with them a little bit, but if you want to spend your bit of luck, then you essentially use luck in a situation, and you're like, wow, I can't believe I got out of that situation. I was so lucky, or whatever. Or, I can't believe I had that thing packed away. So lucky. The key detail lets you describe a detail in the scene that I didn't come up with, and just be like, yes, that is true now. Things like that. And a breather lets you proclaim that we are having a short rest. Essentially, you proclaim that the story has some time for your characters to take a breather and recover a little bit, or something. It lets you reduce some harm and things like that. Very useful. So you have a whole bunch of things on that sheet. Despite the rolling engine being fairly simple, there's a bunch of little fiddly bits on the sheet for you to work with, and feel free to ask questions as we go, because I'm sure a lot will come up. But yeah. Anything so far? Everything's sounding pretty clear?
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. Let me read us into the situation then. Seraphine was blindsided by the sudden Cortex transmission. Coordinates came through, followed by orders. Operatives, we have pinpointed the rogue signal. Take it out. Time is not on our side. Seraphine and the rest of her crew scoured the dingy border spaceport for the fastest vessel they could find, knowing only they could reach the source in time. Soon enough, they were aboard the swift Peregrine, zipping through the treacherous and unexplored Terminus asteroid field. Its captain skillfully avoided collision as the mercenary looked on, still doubtful that they should have taken a job from an Imperial operative. Across the Cortex, another message. Barrier 7 breached. In ages past, as humankind spread into the skies beyond, the great houses recklessly rushed to colonize the resource-rich, neighboring planet. The Empress of Imperial House Corvantis, eternal daughter of the Star Mother Astralis, stayed her hand, as was proper, to horrifying results. Greed, warfare, and the rise of the syndicates ensued. This was not what Astralis had intended for her garden, the home planet. And that is Garden with a capital G. Your home planet is named Garden. And so, the Empress walled off the garden. Here, humankind flourished in isolation, and out in the beyond, it extended to new frontiers across the wild, untamed Astralis Reach. The great houses paid their tithes to the Imperial House, and a delicate balance was restored. Garden bloomed. On Garden, a cryptic warning came with the assault on network barriers. The walled garden is a perfect utopia, blissfully ignorant, but walls cannot stand forever. The rogue signal had probed the network for years, leaving traces of the enigmatic hacker known only as Elderwood. House Corvantis feared the shattering of Garden's isolation, but they feared more what secrets Elderwood may have uncovered. Yet, in their hubris to taunt their foe, the signal had inadvertently betrayed its source. Just now, as Elderwood's hidden asteroid base has come into sight, a sprawling complex nestled into a huge crater under an energy dome, a faint trail of smoke arcs from the compound. The ship's AI blares. Red alert! Incoming missile! Evasion impossible! This is not a drill! An explosion outside the engineering bay knocks the engines offline, and all on board, even the stowaway deep in the ship's belly, brace for impact as the Peregrine plummets towards a crash landing. So, we've got 3 characters here, and as all of you brace for impact, we will actually cut back to the spaceport, well before this message arrived, so that you can briefly describe each of your characters, and we can narrate a quick scene that introduces them and why they're here and how they got into this situation and all of that. So let's start with Izzy and Blix. What's your character? What are they doing here? What's their agenda? All that kind of stuff.
All right. Well, Izzy is here to help. I don't know what you want me to read off the agenda thing, or
Possibly. I guess you don't necessarily have to, but was Izzy the stowaway in this case? Is that what
yeah,
was the okay?
Izzy's a stowaway.
So perhaps we see a scene of Izzy, and Izzy has a robot, right?
Yes.
All right.
Blix is a mini droid.
Excellent.
It's a bit clunky.
So we see a scene of you two getting aboard the Peregrine, this very fast vessel, before it arrives, before it takes off, just picking a random ship to stow away onto. And what does Izzy look like?
Is the character art representative?
It can be, or if you want to come up with something else, that's up to you.
Izzy kind of just looks like a twiggy kid, a little on the hungry side. Still bright-eyed, but yeah, most of the time wears goggles, so it's just kind of bug-eyed, kind of crackly voice. Sorry, I didn't really have much time to create a full.
No worries. Of course. Yeah, it's a quick one shot. So it was actually Izzy's voice moments ago that blared out talking about red alert and incoming missile, because there is no AI on this ship. Izzy has been stowing aboard this ship and pretending to be the ship's AI. Let's jump down to Seraphine then. Seraphine, we narrated you earlier rushing towards the ship as this message has arrived. I guess it would be Seraphine and Vega also just rushing towards the ship, just trying to take off as fast as possible because you have a limited time window to complete this mission. What do your characters look like, and what manner do they hold themselves with? Are they kind of panicked in the situation? Are they kind of disgruntled, darn, another extremely stressful mission, another day at work, that kind of stuff? What's the vibe?
Vega is suave, mildly shaggy gentleman in a Ryan Gosling coat with a carbine over his shoulder. He's the firepower on this mission. And this is kind of just another day on the job. He used to work for some people who are a good deal shadier than the captain. And, whatever we're doing here, he is confident that it would be 100 times worse if he was working for someone else. So he's taking it as it comes.
All right.
And Seraphine is pretty well put together. She, I don't know, she looks exactly like her art. She
Fair
has
enough.
a sword and she seems very well trained for that.
Yeah,
Like not panicking, very cool, calm, collected.
seems like very regal, almost like yeah. Either comes from money or comes from government or something like that.
Both.
Both. There you go. Hell yeah.
Although
So-
gave up money, but
Let's just let me ask you each a quick question. Izzy and Blitz, what brought you to the spaceport? What was your reason for coming here, and how did that work out?
I just wanted to see the world a bit more. It seems like a good way to be able to explore, maybe see if I can learn and grow a little bit, without putting myself in too much risk.
All right. So you
yeah.
traveling out to the spaceport and just trying to find your way into any kind of ship that'll take you out into the stars. You ended up settling on the Peregrine. Go ahead and take one spark of your choice and a raise. So you can mark the raise box so you can spend it later. Seraphine, what brought you to the spaceport and how was that going?
I feel like from your description, kind of got lost during the description, but it said something about something was happening to the world and the Empress
Yes.
was kind of scared.
Absolutely.
something?
Yeah, we can work through that together a little bit. So, on Garden, there's a series of barriers surrounding the planet that are. They've been bombarded by these messages from an enigmatic hacker for many years at this point. Threatening messages that are broadcasting like anti-empire propaganda, all these different things, right? And so the Empress wanted you to. Oh, that was weird. I don't know what just happened to my browser, but the Empress wanted you to track down this signal that has been broadcasting all of this stuff towards the garden and hunt them down, essentially. The signal's been getting narrower and narrower. They've been triangulating it better and better over time. And so, yeah, perhaps you were stationed at the spaceport specifically to take on this mission. Does that sound cool to you?
Yeah, I was gonna say my first agenda task is you are the Empress's hand, so
Ah, well, there you go then. So,
that
yes,
makes sense.
yeah, you were stationed here specifically to take on this task. Did you then like hire Vega? Do you think does that make sense to you, Vega, that you were hired by Seraphine for this task?
Yes. Whoever. I'm definitely here because somebody hired me. That is somebody at least fairly respectable, so that would make sense.
So, how did Seraphine manage to hire Vega here? Was it just money, or was there something more specific?
I used to do work for the syndicates, so we probably have not a friend in common, but maybe a common acquaintance that led to us maybe realizing that we had some values in common on a previous mission that led to us saying, we could maybe get some stuff done better together than trying to deal with the run-of-the-mill mercenaries and employers that tend to be available. Maybe we've even worked together before this, or maybe this is our first time working with each other. I don't know.
Makes sense. So, both Seraphine and Vega, you can also take a spark and a raise to spend later. A spark of your choice, whatever kind of spark you think you'll be likely to spend at some point.
Can you please remind me on the sparks?
Yes. So there's a spark column up at the top of your like right-hand sheet.
Yeah, I see.
Just pick one of those and mark its box, and then later you can consume that box when you're taking an action with that like emotion, basically, and gain an extra die. And then the raise is just another checkbox down at the bottom, and you can spend that to upgrade a roll.
Thank you.
No worries. So, with your identities established and the reasons you're here, the reasons you're not just on the spaceport, but on the Peregrine specifically, and careening towards this asteroid, we cut to the ship's alarms going off once again, these blaring sirens as the ship plummet towards the asteroid. And we just hear, as the screen cuts to black, a massive explosion. And then we see outside just dust and debris gently floating up and outwards from this asteroid as the ship has crash landed, but all of you so far have survived. Actually, everybody give me an action save, and we'll just see if you're going to take any harm from the crash.
How do you do that?
So look at your saves column, and there one of them will be labeled action, and it'll have a number of dots under it. Roll that many dice.
Okay.
And you can add a spark to it if you want to, which would consume the spark, but add a die if you think the emotion is relevant. And then
We're
you
giving
find...
you our highest roll.
Yes, the highest die in the group.
Okay. I got a 6.
Ooh, okay. So you're totally fine.
I got
I
a
had
6.
3.
Ooh, okay. A 6, 6, and a 3. So I think, unfortunately, Izzy and Blix, perhaps you were stowed away in cargo or something, and it didn't have, it wasn't made to damp the impact for people being down there. And so you're going to take the nicked wounded condition there, which doesn't have any mechanical effect on you yet, but does, just represent that you're starting to take some damage. You're starting to get shaken. But the ship is down. Things are broken. It is probably not going to fly again. What do you all do? The two of you, Seraphine and Vega, are probably up in the bridge of the ship, and Izzy is down in cargo, and neither of you probably know that Izzy is there. So I'll just open it up to whoever wants to start. Oh, and one more thing I should say, actually, before turning over the floor to you. This mission is on a timer, as was indicated by a message you received over the line earlier. Barrier 7 around Garden has already been broken, out of 7 barriers. There are 6 remaining, and over time here I'll be rolling some dice to see how quickly that enigmatic hacker Elderwood will be depleting these barriers. And I will let you know the progress as you will be informed over the radio how quickly things are going. Your goal is to find him and take him out, stop this thing from happening before that timer reaches 0.
Is the intercom system still working?
Sure, we'll say it is. Why not?
Izzy's going to make an announcement that this ship, it has been retrofitted with an experimental AI and has downloaded itself into a body to begin repairs.
All right.
Things must really be in quite a state of emergency, says Vega. I thought that was a very illegal thing to do, but apparently desperate times call for desperate measures. Hey, Seraphine! Are you alright, Seraphine?
Yeah, I'm good for now. And I would probably go over and start, I don't know if there are computer panels or something. I would try to be checking to see which systems were online and which systems are offline and seeing if we can get any information from it.
Communications are up, both in ship and out of the ship. Life support is working, but rapidly diminishing as the hull has been breached and your oxygen is draining out into space through both the hole ripped into your hull by the missile that hit you upon your approach and the crash tearing open hull in some other places. You're advised to don your spacesuits as soon as possible. Otherwise, weapon systems are down, shields are down, engines down, most everything else is down.
Excellent.
Well, it appears we should go get our spacesuits on, and I don't know if we want to try to patch some of these holes.
I look at like half a wall taken out. Like, yeah, patch the holes. Certainly spacesuits first.
Is there like any machinery I can use? Because like my goal would be not to be like a person shape, but to like find some kind of more obviously machine looking thing to like say the AI is piloting it to repair. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'll say if you want to spend your key detail item on your sheet, then I'll allow you to establish that exists.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so you establish that Izzy and Blix find some heavy duty repair machinery in the cargo hold, and you start piloting that.
With being close with the Empress, how close are we to the main? Because you said we crashed on an asteroid, correct?
Yes.
Is there any sort of base or operations on that asteroid?
Absolutely. You can actually see on the asteroid horizon, which is much, much closer to you than a planet's horizon would be, just peeking over it is like the top of a massive red energy dome. Some kind of big shield of some kind that has been constructed around what you assume is the Elderwood's base here on this asteroid.
Oh, how fortunate that we find ourselves landed right on the front door of the very person we're here to kill. It's too bad these weapon systems aren't operational. How likely do you think it is that we could get them working again?
At this point, Izzy would make it up with Blix just kind of buzzing around.
Oh, that must be the experimental AI thing. How do you do, AI? Ship? Would you like to be referred to as the ship?
Ship, I am an automated repair bot piloted by the Peregrine.
Nice to meet you, Peregrine Repair Bot. What do you think our odds are of getting these weapon systems up and running? We were just discussing a half dozen things, I suppose.
Ship is compromised beyond repair.
Oh, then what are you doing here?
Attempting repairs.
I like your spirit. How likely do you think it is we could pull the guns off and, carry them over the horizon and just sort of blast whatever lies in our way? Can we rip out whatever power cell is powering this now hunk of junk and, maybe blast a hole in the side of that shield over there?
Query. Is objective to get past the shield?
I think so. What do you think, Seraphine?
Can I have a clarification? Is Elderwood the enemy?
The hacker, yes, the hacker that has been slowly taking down the barriers around the walled garden that is the homeworld of the Empress.
Well, yes, I believe that would be the next logical thing to do is try to get in there and avoid any defenses that they might have, because they obviously have rockets.
Yes. That's a thing I'd like to avoid getting hit by again. Hopefully they're just ground to space, as it were.
Information. This unit may be able to communicate with other computer networks.
Oh, that would be very handy. Although, if we're up against a hacker, perhaps it would be best if you shut down those capabilities so that we don't get a screwdriver in the spine.
Query. Screwdriver in spine?
Oh, yes, I assume that being you are a mechanical repair sort of person that you have a screwdriver, and well, I, being a more biological person, have a spine. And if you were to be taken over by a hacker sort of person, it stands to reason your screwdriver and my spine may become more closely acquainted than I would prefer.
This note in the conversation is interrupted by a new hole appearing in the hull behind you. A small hole, though way too large that none of you would appreciate this hole being put into you. It's about an inch across. And then you hear the sound of the crack of a gun firing off in the horizon.
I want to tackle Seraphine to the ground. Get down, boss.
Information. Organic beings might wish to evacuate the premises.
Yes, you're very perceptive. Do we have our spacesuits on by this point?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't take you long to change into them. So you get those on, you pop on those like big glass bubble helmets. Like, you know, it's very, very old school sci-fi. And make your way down the asteroid. Are you going to head towards the horizon where the gunfire came from, which is also the direction of the shield? You're going to try and take cover along the way? You want to fire back? What's the goal here?
Is there noticeable cover between us and the dome?
There's a decent amount of debris, both rocks that have shattered off of the asteroid upon impact and pieces of your ship that are just kind of loosely hovering around the asteroid in its very low gravity. There's also just some rocks like jutting out around the asteroid in different places. So I'd say there's decent cover, yeah.
All right, I want to try to direct us to the most solid piece of cover I can find that will hopefully block bullets.
Okay. This strikes me as something that you might want to make a roll for. Maybe senses to try and find a good piece of cover and move there
Okay.
quickly. So roll 2 dice, and if you can add a spark to it and you want to, you can do that. Unless you have a mastery you think would apply. That's up to you.
I don't think so. And
Okay.
domains, do those apply to anything?
Those are like knowledge your character has. So if
Okay.
you did like wanted to ask a question about one of those domains, you could basically.
All right. I got a 5 for... Oh, hold on 1 second. I actually may have rolled too many dice.
Okay.
Oh, no. Yep, I got a 5 for senses.
All right, 5 on senses. So you lead the group out to some cover along the way. Are you attempting to move just to cover to be safe, or are you trying to use cover to move towards the dome?
Our immediate priority in Vega's mind is just not being sitting ducks. So we're just finding cover to get our bearings.
Okay. So I think then with a 5, the complication here is you don't move very far. You essentially just tackle everybody and you get to the other side of the ship that is crashed. So you're now very slightly farther away from the dome, but I mean, you saw that bullet make a hole in one side of the dome, but it didn't make it all the way through to the other side of the ship. So you should be safe on this side.
Okay. So now, boss, what do we do now? I'm not so very good at the planning and plotting sort of thing. Point me at the enemy and I will make them very dead, but perhaps you could take a turn, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not good at the far range fighting, but does it look like there's a way to sneak to another side, or is it just like?
Do you want to like sneak cover to get to the asteroid that way? Is that what you're asking? Or to get to the dome that way?
I can drop a smoke grenade if we need it, but I only have one.
Yeah, because I have a surveillance jammer. I don't think that helps against someone shooting at us, but
Is there any way I can try and send Blix scuttling across the ground undetected?
Potentially you could roll for it. That might be like conning or something.
Okay.
What is the goal of sending Blix undetected? Are you trying to take out the sniper or like what?
I was going to try and use my network intrusion mastery to get into the dome.
Okay, just get Blix up ahead and into the dome.
Yeah.
Okay, just sneak entirely by the sniper, make your way to the dome. Sure, we can try that. I think with Blix being small and the amount of dust and debris in the area, this will be an easy check, so you can add 1 to the highest die result.
Do we generally know where the sniper was?
You have not identified a position yet, no. You just heard
Okay.
that it came from the horizon.
I rolled 2 5s, so that's a 6.
Nice.
All right, that is a full success. So we see Blix just scuttling between bits of cover, hiding in clouds of dust, making their way past the sniper. When we see them do like maybe a little very comical robot tiptoe out down behind the sniper, and then scuttle down the other side of that rise on the asteroid towards the dome. The dome is surrounded at its base by these heavy iron walls all around the outside, just this dark metal. But there are doors stationed at all 4 what would be cardinal coordinate, like cardinal directions, but I don't know if this asteroid that would actually matter. It's kind of a weird shape. It's not like cardinal directions don't make sense, but at 90 degrees from each other, there are like 4 entrances to the dome at the base of it. Inside the red dome, you can see what appears to be a massive tower stretching up almost all the way to the top of the dome, right in the middle. That just has all these blinking lights down the side, and like the buildings all around it diminish in height as they extend towards the edge of the dome. Like the entire thing is almost like one weird like exponential curve from the outside of the dome up to the middle. And definitely the biggest building in the middle is the most important. It looks very sinister.
Is there an obvious like control panel for entry?
So yeah, Blix gets down to the closest door, and no, there does not appear to be a control panel.
Okay.
But you do have eyes on the location at least.
All right. Cool. Point of reference, just because I don't think I made that clear. Izzy is actually like a kid-looking android.
Mm-hmm.
He's just pretending to be a robot so that he doesn't
Yes.
get destroyed for being a fully sentient life form. He's pretending to be less sentient.
So
Very illegal.
Do you have another body in the ship, or did you like put a bunch of junk on yourself so that you look like a droid sort of thing?
I climbed inside of an actual repair machine.
Gotcha. That's amazing.
And that is what I am pretending to be right now with the
Robot is hiding
robotics
inside
voice.
a robot to disguise themselves as a robot.
Yes. With a mini robot that is also
Yeah.
me.
So I think with the time it took Blix to get there, I'm gonna roll for the barrier timer. Oh boy. Okay. So 2 more barriers have gone down in this time. The clock is
yikes.
definitely ticking. The Elderwood is starting to very quickly shift away these barriers. 4 of them now remain.
So, do we know that? Do we have a way in?
I think you would get updated by radio, but also I think just because it's cooler, you can see these physical giant shields around the planet just vanish one by one, like off in space. You can just see these green barriers just start to disappear.
All right, Seraphine, I think we've got to do this. I'm going to give you some cover. I don't know exactly where the sniper is, but I'm going to do my best to draw him away. You need to get to that dome. Unless you have other orders for me?
Can we try to find out where the sniper is before doing this?
I think we can wrap that up into whatever other role you do, if that makes sense. Like if you want to charge down the sniper, we can just say identifying him as part of that role, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's my intention, and I'll shout out a call out once I think I know.
I would want to make straight for the dome, if I can.
You're just piloting the repair robot in that direction.
Yep.
All right.
R2D2 taking down an entire factory vibes.
Let's go. So sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I feel like I would probably draw my sword and just charge right for the sniper,
All right, so
And-
it looks like
trying to like dodge bullets. I know that seems a little.
no. I like it. So if it sounds like we've got multiple things going on here. We could do a group roll essentially if people want to all attempt to together just rush down the sniper, overwhelm him, work together to get closer. Each player, let's see. Oh, that is weird wording in the rules here. Each of you choose like the approach you're taking here, and then we make it one giant pool of dice essentially. So yeah, if it sounds like if you're trying to dodge bullets and stuff, try to dodge his aim before he takes fire, that's probably agility.
I was gonna ask for blade dancing.
Oh, sure. Let's allow it. I'll allow blade dancing. We gotta get the masteries in there. So blade dancing, you get 3 dice. Izzy and Blix, what kind of action are you taking to
I'm gonna
get
be
closer here?
firefighting.
Makes sense to
Evasive
me.
maneuvers, which is one of my masteries.
Awesome. So all 3 of you are rolling with mastery. Tell me your highest roll. I think this will be a hard roll, but the group check will make it easier. So on a hard roll, you subtract 1 from your highest dice result.
So we subtract 1.
Yeah. So tell me your highest die minus 1.
My
2.
highest die. Mine is a 5.
3.
5. Okay, so because there were failures in the group, I think this makes the most sense here. There were 2 failures, right? A 3 and a 2.
Yes.
So that is 2 failures in the group, and then Seraphine rolled a 5, and for each failure in the group roll, we subtract -1 from that highest result. So that becomes a 3, unfortunately.
Oh.
So after all
rolled a
is...
By the way, I already subtracted the 1.
Yes, so a 3 becomes a failure. Anything 3 or below is a failure on the roll. So that becomes how it works is the failures in the group make the leader's job harder, basically. So Seraphine got the highest roll, but unfortunately the failures in the group made -1 for each of you. So it becomes a 3 for Seraphine, which applies to all of you. So you are each going to take harm as you approach the sniper, and you're not going to make much progress, unfortunately. You just try to rush at him, you realize time is of the essence here, and you all just get shot. So take a harm, increase your harm level by 1. If you're already nicked, you become wounded, and so on and so forth.
Thankfully,
Can I use a bit of luck?
Sure, you can use a bit of luck, and or we can also spend raises. Don't forget those as well. Each of you should have a raise if you want to increase this result.
I mean, that would increase it to a pass, correct? At least mine.
Yeah, it would increase
Can
it.
people spend a raise can 2 people spend a raise on a single result?
I'd allow it. Yeah, if you want to turn it into a full success.
I'll put my raise toward it.
So it'll be a mixed success so far.
I'll
I'll
also
put my
pay.
raise.
I mean, if all of you do it, it could be a critical, which would be funny, but that's up to you.
So I'm fine. Can we? So my talent is I get an additional level of wounded. I would be happy to absorb a wound if we could like negotiate that into a what happens here.
I mean, that could work as a mixed results tier. Yeah, so if we could spend you wouldn't even need to spend 2 raises then. You could just spend the 1 raise from Izzy, and then that could be a potential downside. Yeah. That works for me. How's that sound? So Seraphine and
Thank
Vega
you.
keep their raises?
Yeah.
All right, so Vega becomes wounded. You take a bullet but it only just barely nicks you as it goes by. But the rest of you manage to get up to the top where the sniper is located. And you can see, now that you've gotten up there, that he's not alone. You've charged down at him, and you can see that this sniper looks very strange. He appears to be not wearing a spacesuit, despite the atmosphere here being very thin, but his skin is like a pale blue and gray kind of mottled texture. He's got like spots of blue on a gray backdrop, and his eyes are burning like a purple color. And his whole body seems like a little bit misshapen, like some things are not quite in the right places, like his one shoulder's a little higher than the other, that kind of thing. And there are 3 other similar looking dudes behind him, all with pistols.
I don't like this, and I'm throwing a frag grenade at them.
Excellent. Okay, what does the frag grenade do? Does it have a list on it already?
It does not. It is part of siege rifle, parentheses, 3 grenades, incendiary frag, smoke.
Okay, so frag grenade then, we'll just, go ahead and, I think we'll just use that resource up and you don't even have to
just
roll for
mark
it here.
off.
You just chuck
Thank
that
you.
grenade at the group as you come over the cliff here, and we'll just say that takes out everyone but the sniper. So as the sniper's up in front of you, you throw it at the group behind him, and all 3 of those dudes with pistols just explode. One of them gives off a Wilhelm scream as he falls off in the distance, and there is just the sniper in front of you who is quickly panicking, trying to set down his sniper and rush towards one of you. I think actually he is going to rush at specifically Seraphine. He's going to charge at you with these big oversized hands and just shout, "Die, Imperial scum!" Ah! So you can give me an action save if you want to avoid this hit.
Okay, so that's 2 dice, correct? I believe, yes.
Yes, if you got 2 dots.
I rolled a 6.
Full success. You dodge cleanly out of the way. And I'll say on a full success here, you not only do you step cleanly out of the way, you just make a quick slice up his back as he passes and sheath your blade once again, and he falls to the ground. You're now that much closer to the dome, but you're only halfway there. What are you doing?
I would probably wave Vega over to us.
I have a hand on my side, but I hopefully already sealed the hole in my spacesuit with just a slather of auto-vulcanizing rubber, and can get up to everybody.
So with
I
my
am making the repair bot just keep lumbering forward.
All right.
what is reach lore?
It's lore about the surrounding area, basically, like the reach of space that you're in.
Okay,
You're
know
basically
these
educated.
creatures?
I'd say you can roll for that. So roll 3 dice, and we'll just see. But this will be a hard roll. This is not an easy thing. So 3 dice, take -1 off the highest die.
That's a 4.
A 4. So you have learned of similar things before. These appear to be failed clones. You don't know too much more than that. You don't know, like, these cloning technology has not been legal or in use for a long time, but you do know that they are failed clones.
When I'm looking over the bodies, I just kind of like shrug and I'm like, ugh, Elderwood and all of their money, where does it come from?
Indeed. So, it sounds like all 3 of you continue to rush towards the dome. And as you do, I'm going to spend another suspense, and I'll say that tall tower in the middle of the dome actually very quickly vanishes at a very specific second as a rocket fires up out of that tower, and then the dome reappears once again, just blinking back into existence. And you see, arcing up away from the dome and then turning down towards you is another missile incoming. What do you do?
Would that count as a vehicle?
The missile?
Yeah.
Are you attempting to like hack it or something? I think
I have
sure,
a
I'd allow
remote
it.
override console in my gear.
Okay, I'll allow it. Sure.
It says control a vehicle and LOS, but I don't know what that means.
Line of sight, so
Line
you
of
can
sight.
see it, you can hit it. I think I'll allow it, but maybe is it a consumable item? I might have this consume it either way.
It's just in my gear. I don't know.
Okay, so a lot of the gear is just kind of left vague. I'll say that this targeting a high-tech piece of military gear here will burn it out when you try to use it this way, but you can do it.
Okay. Yeah. I want to just send it careening off into space if I can.
All right. So you point this remote override console at the thing, and quickly, maybe we can't even see you. Actually, wait a minute. So it has to be line of sight. So you have to duck out of that robot real quick, maybe discreetly. So maybe there's a risk of that. But we'll say that just because I think it doesn't make too much sense to linger on that. We see Izzy peek out from inside the robot, just quickly do this hacking thing, and then duck back inside, and then the missile just turns up and away, while the rest of you have no idea why it did so.
Oh, can I use Blix as my eye since we're actually one mind?
Yes, but I think from what I interpret of the gear item needing line of sight is that you need to take it out of the robot and like point it at the missile, basically. Like, if that makes sense. Like the item needs to see it. So
yeah.
Okay. But I think you can use Blix as your eyes, but for this piece of gear, it needs to physically see the thing. So
okay, fair enough.
Either way, you tuck back inside the robot, and all of you wonder why, or the rest of you wonder why that missile just suddenly decided to fuck off into space.
Well, that was interesting. Let's hurry before it sends another one. It may be circling the planet to gain more momentum, to hit us from behind when we're not expecting it. But, I'm expecting it, don't worry.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but the shield disappeared in order for it to fire.
I wouldn't want to count on another missile coming out for us to be able to get through.
Are there any, like, tire tracks from cars leading in or out, or, like, footprints from where those snipers showed up?
Are you looking for this while you're running towards the door, or have you all stopped?
Probably while we were running towards the door.
Is there an actual door that we're running towards?
There's clearly a door. There are 4 doors, like 90 degrees separated from each other around this circle. But there was no control panel that Blix found while down there. They just appear to be maybe opened up from the inside or something. But yeah. As you run towards these doors, because time is very quickly ticking down here, you look around trying to see if there's tracks or anything. You don't see any obvious tire tracks or like frequent patrol routes of footsteps or anything. It appears pretty just dusty and empty out here.
So there's not even a key card, like a pad for a key card?
Does not appear to be one, no. Blix did not find one, so we have established that there is not one.
Can I pull a plasma cutter out and like make it look like that's part of the robot and just make a door? Because that's what the plasma cutter says, is just makes a door.
Absolutely. So you get down to this doorway and you just start cutting away with a plasma cutter. I think
That makes that easy.
I think again this will consume this item.
Says power 3D.
Oh, 3D. Okay, so roll 3 dice, and anything 1 to 3 on the dice, you reduce the pool by that many dice for the future. That sounds confusing, but just tell me the results and I'll tell you what happens.
I rolled a 1, a 4, and a 5.
1, a 4, and a 5. Okay, so now that becomes 2DD. You've essentially used up some of it, and it's starting to diminish, but it's not completely gone yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've used up some of the fuel on the plasma cutter as you arc these large rectangle into the door, a smaller door within the much larger door, and this big panel of metal falls down in front of you. And then inside, you see something strange. The interior of this place, this outer wall and leading into the buildings within the dome, doesn't look like any interior building you've ever seen before. It's not a hallway with rooms. It's like weird, like red, like energy floating through the air and wires and cables. And it looks like you're climbing through the maintenance shafts of a giant computer system. It's not made for people to walk through, but you can kind of figure your way through it in different places. It's strange looking. It's a labyrinth of like electronic equipment. Extremely high tech.
Can I use my cybernetics domain to see kind of what it does?
Sure, roll me 3 dice and tell me the highest.
6.
6. So this appears to be all part of one giant computer system. And you start to realize that from the outside, it looked like a small city of some kind that you were approaching, or a small town or something. But now that you're inside it, the whole structure you saw on the outside was just some sort of casing or structure that housed within it a massive, massive supercomputer system. These are not a bunch of separate small systems. This is all one giant network of some kind.
Can I use network intrusion mastery combined with my security system domain to try and hack my way in a little bit?
Yeah, hack your way in, like get connection to the system.
Yes.
Like,
so what I'm
yeah.
envisioning is this labyrinth is too small for the robot that Izzy's been hiding in.
Okay. Makes sense to me.
He's going to say, well, unfortunately, I'm just going to have to come say hi. And it looks like a teenage kid wearing a lot of goggles climbing out of a machine. Hi, I'm Izzy. I've been helping keeping the ship running.
I see.
I think I can hack into the system, but I can't do it from inside of that guy. So, yeah.
Well, there are lots of rules in this world. There are many I have, to put it charitably, ignored up to this point in my life. I'm not much one for following rules. Please, do what you can. We're all in this together at this point.
Yeah. So, I look fairly human-like. And since I'm wearing goggles, you can't tell that I'm an android. I just look like a nerd.
Gotcha. And I will, Vega will take a position behind you, covering with the rifle, in case anything comes to stop you from hacking into the system.
All right.
And
But
if you
is he...
sorry.
No, you go ahead.
If you happen to find any particularly sensitive areas within our reach, where perhaps a bit of very, very hot liquid might help our cause, just give me the heads up. We can make that happen.
All right. So Izzy digs into this computer system. Go ahead and roll those 3 dice from your mastery and subtract 1 because this is a hard roll.
Okay. Can I use a spark to do anything about that?
Yep, you can add a die if you think the emotion applies.
I was gonna use a spark with insight.
Okay, sounds good to me. So you're seeking knowledge here. You try to hack into the system. So that's 4 dice total. Subtract 1 from the highest die.
5.
5. Okay. You do manage a connection to this place. And I think let's visualize hacking in a bit of a fun way here. We see like a digital body of Izzy floating in space. What color is Izzy's digital body? It's like a single solid color of their silhouette.
Probably teal. A very fluorescent teal.
Very fluorescent teal digital body of Izzy in a dark, pure black space. As he reaches out to connect to something unseen, those same red lines in the walls we saw in physical space manifest in this digital realm as well. And as he begins to walk through these digital corridors, and what appeared to be computer systems before now look like doors or filing cabinets, maybe sometimes windows or TV screens, all sorts of different ways that Izzy's mind makes sense of the digital data all around them, ways you can interface with it and to collect things from it. But as you appear in this place and begin to walk the halls, up above you, deep in the blackness, a single massive eye like the sun, deep red, opens up, and then another, and then another. And there are 3 deep red eyes up in the sky, impossibly large, watching you move through the place. You hear 3 voices in unison call out to you. This one is unknown. This one's data cannot be found. Data corrupted, data corrupted, data corrupted, data retrieved, data quarantined for safety. Identify yourself.
Do I get the sense that if I were to talk, I'd be talking out loud as well?
No, you just be in the digital realm, I think.
All right. So I'm just gonna try for fast talking kid. Hi, I'm Izzy. I didn't mean to pry. I'll keep your secrets. I just kind of wanted to figure out where I was going.
Why are you here, Izzy? The 3 voices once again say in unison.
Well, I was hiding on the ship you crashed, so now I'm just kind of stuck here. And, well, this seemed pretty cool, so I figured I'd see what's up with it. I like computers.
We can show you secrets. We can bring you to our side. Would you like that?
Nope, keep your secrets. I just wanted to see what was here. It looked cool. I hadn't seen anything like it before. Curiosity got the best of me. You keep your secrets.
The secrets will be known soon enough.
Why?
They
Nothing
do
good
relate
ever
to you.
comes out of those.
You would live in darkness, even though our knowledge could improve your life.
I just want to live.
And yet the Imperials would seek to kill you. We would not seek to kill you.
Well, the Imperials aren't the one who blew me up. That was you.
You were with the Imperials. Why were you with the Imperials?
They chose that ship. Is fast. Or was, before you put holes in it.
Well, consider this a stroke of luck, Izzy. The Imperials seek to continue this hypocrisy, this oppression that keeps people like you under their thumb. We would break this. Will you join us?
Can I at least, come say hi first?
This is acceptable. Make up your mind soon, though. And can you give me a presence save here? And you can decide: would Izzy try to resist this call that they're sending, or would Izzy more likely go with the call? And I don't know. However you want to interpret this role on a positive or negative spin, let me know. If that makes any sense at all. I explained it very poorly.
Yeah. So Izzy's really likes poking things, but is a little on the jumpy side. So probably now that he's been talking back, he's a little cautious.
Okay, so trying to resist the call then. So give me a presence roll. I think I'll make this one hard as well, but so trying to see how well Izzy can resist this temptation.
4.
4. So you do manage to resist, and they say, this is acceptable, but make your choice quickly. We may need a screwdriver placed into a spine. And then all 3 eyes blink closed. And you're left to wonder, did they... was that an incredibly strange coincidence? Is that just a normal human saying, or did they read that from your memory banks?
With my security systems domain, would I know how secure my own memory banks are?
Yeah, go ahead and roll it. Just 3D. Let's see what you get.
3.
3.
I rolled 2 1s and a 3.
I don't think Izzy has any kind of experience with a super, like trying to protect themselves against a supercomputer of this size. So you have no idea if they would have managed to break in or not, or clearly Elderwood has managed to break into one of the best security systems ever. You're not sure if yours would hold up under this short amount of time or not, but yes. So unlikely that your systems would have held up, I think.
Oof. Can I get a map so I can like figure out what's going on? This place is a maze.
As you say that, one of the drawers in a nearby filing cabinet just pops open and then like slowly rolls out, and there's one single file folder in it. And you go over there and pick it up, and there is like a whole blueprint to the place.
Cool, thanks.
The eyes in the sky have been closed, and they no longer respond, but you have been left to wander free.
Okay. Well, I'm going to commit the blueprint to memory and then surface.
Meanwhile, up on the outside, while Izzy has still been hacking this whole time, and you've just been watching this small kid, connecting to this thing. Maybe it looks like they're in a trance or something. Vega and Seraphine, you hear a sound, a deep breathing sound with lungs that are malformed, this choking, gasping breath. Very slow, very deep breaths, but very labored still. And you hear a scraping sound growing closer. What do you do?
Seraphine, you hear that? Would you take care of that, please?
I feel like we're on either side of Izzy right now. Is it coming from the left or the right side?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell. You're not really in like a hallway. You're in like a maze of random computer parts just jutting out at random angles that you kind of have to squeeze through different places. It's more like a tangled underbrush of nature, but made of computer parts and stuff, if that makes any sense at all. It's a nonsensical place that you're not supposed to move through as a person.
Okay.
But the sound is kind of coming from everywhere right now. You're not really sure. It's kind of reverberating off different parts around you and tricky to tell.
I'm just gonna pull out my rifle and just like position myself in a different direction than Seraphine is, and just kind of ignore everybody. Just
All right.
confident that Seraphine will figure it out if whatever it is comes from the other direction.
Side question. Can I get a spark from Bravado for doing the secrets are best kept part of my agenda?
Absolutely.
Cool.
So what is the when we got into the superstructure, what was the shape of the computer? Does it look I don't know if a Hershey kiss is the best way to describe it, but is
That's
it
a pretty
like
good way, yeah, actually.
taller in the center and then goes
Yes,
to the sides?
absolutely a Hershey's Kiss shape. A little more exaggerated, like it definitely gets flatter at the base, but yeah, like a pawn or a Hershey's Kiss, something like that.
Did we just invade Hershey Park?
I mean, it is well funded, and we don't know why yet. I guess. How tall is it where we are right now? Like, can I climb up and try to see where the noise is coming from?
Sure, yeah, you can climb up into the computer parts around here, just stepping on things, and you know, it's like a weird, nonsensical digital landscape, but you can grab onto things and climb around, almost like it's more like climbing trees, but yeah.
Okay, and so if I
So you want to scan for it, basically, and try to keep an eye out for it, or what does it sense, or
Yeah.
whatever you're.
yeah.
All right, senses. Just give me a senses check then, as you try to pinpoint its location.
Okay, so it has a box in it. So does that mean I roll 2?
Correct.
That is a 4.
All right. So a 4. You manage to pinpoint where it is. You climb up into this weird, nonsensical landscape, pulling yourself up through loops and climbing along different, like little, almost like branches moving out through this thing. It's almost organic in a weird, digital, totally artificial way. And then you find it. This hulking gray and blue figure. Totally misshapen. Not like the ones you saw before, but like it has very tiny legs that don't hold up its body. Its shoulders are massive, and it's got huge arms. But instead of hands at the end of its arms, it appears that they have been replaced with these like saw blades that are just scraping it along through this weird terrain as it pulls itself up different structures and around different structures and manages to relocate itself around. But as you spot it, and you got a 4, it also spots you. You lock eyes with this monstrosity. It's got to be at least 9-10 feet tall, even with its tiny little legs. And for the briefest moment, there's a silence as you are both still. What do you do?
Am I still in Vega's line of sight, or Vega was looking the opposite direction, correct?
I put myself in the opposite direction, yeah. If the noise is like noticeably now right here, I would turn around, but my reaction time might not be fast enough for whatever's about to happen.
To you, down on the ground, it still kind of sounds like it's reverberating off everywhere.
Okay. I just keep looking down the barrel then.
Does it look like it needs a lot of effort to get back into the crevice? Because you said it's like large shoulders, so is it able to fit?
Yeah, it's kind of like climbing around. It looks like it's used to climbing around in this place. So it's clearly taking paths that have larger gaps between like the weird extrusions of like these blocky computer parts. Like I would call them microchips, but they kind of look like macrochips. Yeah, so it's moving around and it's like cutting lines through it, but it looks like it's not really doing so much harm that it's a problem.
Okay. I will start climbing back down into the crevice and attempt to use my thought link to communicate with Vega.
Okay, so right now this thing has locked eyes with you and it knows you're there. So if you're doing this, you're doing it quickly because it's ready to pounce on you. Does that make sense? Or is it so you're just trying to move down really quickly?
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you kind of make your body really straight and just kind of fall and brace yourself.
All right, give me
As
an
you're
action
falling.
save then. If you're just trying to communicate with Vega and trying to avoid this thing as it chases you and trying to avoid taking damage as you land and all of that.
That's a 4.
A 4. So I think you're going to take some harm on the way down as you scrape up against things. So, misjudge your fall a little bit. So increase your harm level by 1. And then you land down at the base and you're communicating with Vega on the way down. What do you say?
I'll say hulking mass on top, protect. Easy.
I'm gonna drop my rifle. I'm gonna roll around over my shoulder to my feet and pull out my survival knife.
All right.
I'm gonna try to get into the melee here.
So as Seraphine lands, and maybe you land and you misjudge the fall a little bit and your ankle gets tweaked or something, but then you just do a roll out of the way, and just a second after you roll out of the way, this hulking mass, boom, it lands on the floor where you were just a second ago, and its saw blades like cut into the ground a little bit, and then it spins them in reverse and pulls them up out of the ground, and it just roars at you. It's completely mad. There is no human thought or emotion left in it. So it's now down in melee with you. What do you want to do? One of you. Who's going
Can
into
I
combat with it?
activate the incendiary grenade strapped to the side of my rifle?
Absolutely. So you want to, like, where it landed,
Blow up
basically?
the whole rifle and the smoke and incendiary grenades that are attached to it, since I'm sure activating the grenade would just destroy the rifle.
Okay.
That's like right underneath its crotch.
Perfect. So you throw the gun down right where it landed and then hit the button. I'm not going to make you roll for that. You're giving up a bunch of gear for this. So it lands, it roars at you, and then it just becomes meat chunks everywhere. Just boom, just a big explosion of gore. Blood gets splattered all over it. The surfaces around you are like this deep black with these red digital lines running through them. And now there's just red crimson blood splattered on a bunch of stuff around you. Making an even bigger splash of color than the rest of this place usually sees. But you are safe. The saw blades kind of start to spin down as they are no longer attached to a body, and you've made it out of this one.
Let's hope that was the last one. All I've got left is this knife. I was almost out of ammo anyway.
All
It's
I
about-
have left is this bigger knife. I pull out my sword.
Then we're in good company.
That's about this time when you two are comparing blades that Izzy wakes up.
Oh, hey, I have a map now.
Oh, you're back. Congratulations on the great victory.
Ugh.
Yes, we also had the great victory.
During this
I
time,
thought this thing said I'd...
Careful of the saw blades. That one's still going. Goodness, look at it go.
I'm going to mutter at the computer, "You're a fucking liar. You said I'd have some time to make up my mind."
there's no response. But during this time, you hear over the radio that one more barrier is down. You're down to 3.
Well, what do we do now? I don't know that a map is going to help us. It's been going down very quickly so far, so...
Yeah, did you get any information on who Elderwood is and what they are and what they're trying to do? I mean, I know they're trying to invade us and take down our shields, but is there anything else that you learned?
There's a giant 3-eyed monster as a computer?
Well, hopefully you can kill it by stabbing it with a small and a large knife.
With the map, would I know, like, roughly where the control center of this place is?
It is definitely in that giant tower you can see from the outside. I'll say at the top floor of it.
All right.
Because that's dramatic.
Are there
Control center's at the top floor of the tower. I'm assuming that's where we need to go.
Are there any corporations or companies that I recognize with a logo that has 3 eyes?
You can give me a reach lore thing. Yeah.
So is that 3 dice?
Yes. Thank you for the question. Yes, that is correct. 3 dice.
That is a 4.
Okay. So you would know that in all of the transmissions that have come from Elderwood, there were that 3-eyed symbol. Or really, it would just be like 3 circles was the symbol associated with Elderwood previously, and nobody really knew what it meant. But now that you were described like these 3 eyes in a triangle formation, it all starts to line up.
Okay. To the tower.
All right. Onwards and upwards. You make your way through this twisted landscape using Izzy's map, trying to find your way, the quickest way, to the location. And, since you have a map, it doesn't take you too long. But you get to the base of the tower, and standing in front of it, there is a man. He looks pale blue and gray like the others so far, but significantly less misshapen. He's pretty normal except for the weird color of his skin, it appears. He's kind of bald, and it looks like his nose is a little bit small. Like, he is bald, not kind of bald. Looks like his nose is a little bit small. Maybe his eyes are a little bit large, but otherwise he looks fairly just normally human, but still very clearly a failed clone based on the other identifying figures there. He has his arms held out with no weapons in them. And he just says, let us talk. We don't need to come to violence here.
Oh, do we not? I say as I continue to walk toward him, brandishing my knife. That's an interesting idea. You can't back it up with something.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like everything you guys have been doing so far is violence.
Many of us have lost our minds. I do apologize for them. There's...
You're about to lose more than that.
Listen, friend. There's no violence needs to happen
Friend.
here. We have no...
Friend, you say.
We could be friends.
I
Let's
don't
talk.
think we have time to make friends, friend. How about you turn off whatever is happening, and we can discuss things afterward, yeah?
Listen, I'm not the one in charge here, but I do have a message, if you would hear it.
Speak quickly.
You are working for the wrong people.
Not very convincing. I am working for a paycheck. Now, please turn around and lead us to the person who I need to either stab or have turn off this thing happening.
Wait, let's hear him out. Well, who are you working for?
Elderwood, of course. I am Alfred 117. One of the 3 of Elderwood. Well, a clone of one of them, at least.
Well, yes, I feel like it's very difficult for this company that you work for, Elderwood. I don't know if they are a company. I don't know much about them. I just
We
know that they're not friendly.
are a revolution. You've been fed lies. The Empress has fed you lies. Nothing but lies. They would even stoop to harming their own people and blaming it on us. More lies. They have secrets they must protect. We seek to expose them, to reunite humanity. We say, down with the so-called God Empress. Bring back humanity. Down with the hierarchy of the houses. Bring back human culture and camaraderie.
Oh, friend, there's always somebody trying to sell you something. Somebody up top, somebody standing on your shoulders, somebody pissing down your face. And that is human camaraderie. Now please lead us to the person I need to stab, or who will press the button. I am getting very impatient.
It doesn't have to be this way, please.
It will always be
He-
this
he
way.
looks
It's never not
pleading.
been this way.
He looks pleading at the other two of you. Please. He can show you things. They can show you things. Alfred has shown me many things, but Ida and Ellis, they can show you many more than they've even shown me.
Now I'm staring at Serafina with a raised eyebrow behind my big old bubble helmet, waiting for an order.
And Seraphine, I will invoke the tap move on the Game Master sheet here. That which lets me basically point to one of your agendas and say, "Hey, if you don't go for the agenda, I get some GM juice to spend on things." You are the Empress's hands, right? You just fucking blasphemed against the God Empress. What are you gonna do about it? You can choose to ignore that agenda if you want to. Just know that I get some goodies if you do.
Well, I'm looking at the other ones, and no one knows about Elderwood. And then this base was not cheap, so find out who funded it.
So yeah, like I said, you can ignore it if you think your other agendas are important here, or if it's mixed. Just got to come to a choice.
Real quick, my goggles have heat detection. Is there anyone else sneaking up on us?
Let's handle this other thing first, and then we'll get back to you.
Cool.
But I just want to handle this moment first and see what Seraphine does. This is a split-second decision that Seraphine is making.
Yeah, I would probably... I don't know how to word this.
Do you want to go with Vega's plan of just killing this guy and moving on, or do you want to tell Vega to stand down? I guess that's the kind of easiest choice to make here.
Oh, I mean, definitely trying to slice his head off because he talked ill about the Empress.
Okay, so you're down for violence then, it sounds like. So
Yeah.
So if you give me like a nod, I will stab for the throat.
All right, so that does accomplish your agenda that I pointed to earlier. So I do not get my special GM juice to spend. Then yes, Izzy asked to scan the area around you. So let's make this a group roll, with Izzy doing senses and the other two of you doing either strength or agility, depending on what you think you would approach this situation with. Or like blade dancing, that was one of them, right? Like.
Oh, I was thinking about what is the word? Goading?
Yeah, you could do that too, like cunning or something, if you want to like trick him.
Well, no, I have the mastery goading.
Oh, goading is like it's like provoking someone into something. It's like yeah, if that makes sense. Provoking is an easier word.
Well, that's why I didn't want to just jump to violence. I wanted to kind of counteract his point and try to get him to react.
Okay, so you don't give the nod to Vega then, it sounds like?
I mean, it feels more fun to just violence.
Okay, so what do you want to do? What actually take a care? I'm sorry, I'm looking at the clock.
I'll do the blade dancing. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we'll both just move to attack this guy.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm
so
just
yeah,
gonna
everyone.
do strength.
Yeah, roll your actions as described, and we'll resolve this group roll.
Ooh,
5.
I got a 6.
Nice.
Does this have a roll doubles crit feature?
Yes.
Okay, I crit 5, I think.
Oh, sorry, only 6 doubles.
Okay, I just got 5.
Yes. 5. What did Izzy get?
6.
6. Okay, so a full success, no failures rolled, so that doesn't get reduced at all. So, Izzy, you scan the surroundings, and you do see a couple other dudes waiting on the sides, and so you maybe point those out, whatever you want to say to point them out.
Got company, boss.
And as you say that and maybe point, maybe Seraphine takes out the guy in front, this Alfred 117, this clone who was talking to you, as immediately Vega rotates to start dealing with the guys on the outside. Just a quick stab to each of them as they're taken off guard by being found out ahead of time. And through a very swift act of violence, you've managed to take apart the situation and gain access to the tower. And I'm going to roll the barrier timer. No change as of yet. Not much time has passed. You gain access to the tower, and there are winding sets of stairs going up. It's clear that, once again, this place wasn't really designed for humans to move around it very often, only as like a last resort. So it's kind of cumbersome to move around here. The stairs aren't even super even and all of that, but they're clearly just like placed here as an emergency way for some of these clones to move around and stuff. Do any of you have ways you want to get up this thing fast? Do you just want to roll for it? Any gear apply here? What's your creativity tell you?
I have a hoverboard. It says low battery 2DD. Forgot to charge it.
That's awesome.
Can I just hop on a hoverboard and just start like
Absolutely.
ducking and weaving my way up?
Yes, and let's see what the others do to get up as well, because maybe Izzy gets up first, or unless you two have a fast way to get up.
I'm gonna have to just try to climb with me hands.
Okay.
I have really good agility.
Yeah, how about both of you? So roll either agility or strength, and then Izzy can roll the hoverboard, which will automatically succeed, but we'll just see how much you drain the battery here, basically. So 2 dice on the hoverboard.
Higher one's a 5.
Higher one's a 5. Was
Six.
the first one a 1 to 3?
I rolled a 3 and a 5, yeah.
A 3 and a 5. Okay, so the 3 means the die pool gets reduced by 1 for next time, so you have 1 die remaining on that.
Okay.
So Vega got a 6. What did Seraphine get?
I rolled a 4.
All right. So Seraphine, I think you're going to take a Vex here, which is something I have not invoked yet. But a Vex is essentially like an emotional thing. Like you had that conflict in that fight earlier where you weren't quite sure what to do, and now you're running up these stairs and exerting yourself, and you have time to think about that hesitation you had. Like maybe the situation isn't as clear as you thought it was. Maybe serving the Empress isn't as clear as you thought it was. You start to doubt yourself. And so when you get vexed, you get to choose a vex response. Kind of like when you go temporarily insane in Delta Green. You get to choose fight, flight, freeze, or freak out. So how does Seraphine respond to this like growing, unsettling shaking of the foundation of her ideology?
What is the stifle emotion?
What is the stifle emotion? Oh, so you have a talent for that, right?
Yeah, when Vex is inflicted on you, you can choose to stifle it, neutralizing its impact, mark the box, and take spark. When it's marked,
yes.
You can't use this.
Okay, so mark the stifled emotion box there, and basically you ignore this Vex. You just say, you choke it down and you say, no time to deal with this, we're moving on, basically. And you ignore this Vex and you get a spark. And speaking of spark, I totally forgot, in that last scene, 2 of you definitely did play into your agendas. Seraphine and Vega both get a spark and something of your choice for your roleplay choices. So Seraphine, you get to mark 2 now, because one from the last scene and one from the stifled emotion.
I have 3 sparks now. I haven't used them.
Yeah, just gotta find places to use them. All right, so you make your way up these stairs. You have a long time to think about it. It's not a particularly eventful climb, but it's long and it's quiet. The only sounds around you are the buzzing and clicking of the electronics around you, just whirring as they calculate whatever they're calculating. You can see the red lines pulsing with information as data moves throughout this impossibly large computer system. And then you reach the top, and I'm going to roll the barriers once again to see how many barriers got taken out while you were climbing. 1 barrier. There are 2 barriers remaining. There are 2 out of 7 barriers remaining. Elderwood is making fast time on breaching the garden wall. You have reached the top of the tower, and there are no guards stationed here, perhaps surprisingly. Instead, you see Much like the structure outside this building that was like a Hershey Kiss shape, like we said before, it's something similar in here. There are just wires everywhere, draped down from the ceiling, rising up from the floor, and meeting in the middle, this point where there are 3 human bodies just plugged all over the place with wires, kind of held up by the wires, almost like they look like crucified the way their bodies are hanging, but just hanging from wires like very gruesome puppets. Wires plugged into their head, into their arms, into their backs, all along their bodies everywhere, till you can hardly even make out the human bodies underneath through the thick mess of wires like fur.
You mind if I start giving our hosts a bit of a haircut, boss?
Go ahead.
Can I use my cybernetics domain to kind of point out which ones will disconnect them the fastest?
Potentially. But I think as you get up here, I'm going to invoke my final suspense, that special resource I mentioned earlier, to have them intervene first. And so, Izzy, as you hear your companions chatting about how they're going to work this thing out, time slows down around you, and you are brought back into that digital landscape, an exact copy of the room you're in, just dark. But this time, you can see the silhouettes of your companions here. Both are in a similar teal color to you, but not nearly as bright. Maybe their bodies are faded in some way. You see the 3 eyes, each one superimposed over one of the bodies in the middle of the room. They say to you, "Well, you've had time to think. What is your choice? Would you like more information? We can tell you something we think would help you understand, but we will not force you."
Well, now you've got me curious. Tell me what you think will make me understand.
The eyes blink out of sync with each other, and an image pops up in front of you, and then another one, and then another one, all just hovering in different places around the room, but clearly visible to you. Some of them are 3D diagrams and blueprints of a body, a human body, an android body, one much like your own. All of them are labeled the Empress Project. The Empress is a sham. Not even a real person, an android like yourself, but, well, unfortunately, has chosen to outlaw all other androids. A hypocrite, a traitor to her own kind. She would seek absolute control over everything, and makes other terrible hypocritical decisions like this all the time. As we mentioned before, harming her own people in order to keep them complacent, shifting the blame on the other colonies outside, always shifting the blame to outsiders, never accepting blame inwards. You can help us. We are almost done. You just need to buy us a little more time.
Okay, so she's an android. That doesn't change the fact that most everybody else would still kill me on sight.
Only because of her laws. We seek a future where...
Getting rid of her is not going to change that overnight.
Not overnight, but quickly. And
you really think humans are that changeable?
Well, for the lifespan of an android, it will change in the blink of an eye. We will protect you during that time if you would seek it.
And what are you?
We are old.
Human? Android?
We are human. We are old. We are dying. We seek to tear down the old systems, the hypocritical systems, the hierarchies, and make a better world for the future. We have spared nothing in this pursuit. It is what's necessary.
Look, I just wanted to explore.
You'll have even more freedom to explore in the future with this deal. Think of all the endless places you could explore, the beautiful garden below, the many human colonies out there, maybe the many new android colonies that could be formed after this. Right now we live in oppression. The world is stifled by the Empress under a so-called deity made by men, a hypocrite and a traitor. That is no world to explore. They wouldn't let you explore most of it. So what say you?
Humans so optimistic. I think that's just what humanity's like. Optimistic, kind of fucking it up along the way.
What say you? Are you with us or against us?
I'm just me.
Very well. We are sorry, but we cannot fail now. The connection is cut, as they are going to attempt to cause you some serious harm here. Give me a presence save.
Okay. Two.
Oh no. Okay. What is your harm level currently?
I'm nicked.
Nicked. Okay, so you're going to go to wounded, as they are going to essentially fry some of your systems as you are being disconnected from this thing. You try to disconnect faster, but they're just pouring information into your poor android skull, and it's just beginning to fry your systems. Things you can't even understand, things they have calculated for a long time in this massive tower, bits of the pieces of the key to the walls around the garden. And you are going to be a little bit impaired because of that for a while. But outside, you snap back to reality, and what are the other two of you doing? You hear machinery whirring to life in the floor and ceiling around you as you move to cut the wires. Are you going to try and cut them quicker? What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to cut them quicker.
All right. That sounds kind of like agility to me. Maybe strength.
I'm gonna grab the biggest armful I can and just start sawing with my survival knife.
All right.
I'm just gonna like lean my whole body into it.
As soon as I have control over myself, can I just shoot the plasma cutter at them?
I don't know if the plasma cutter would reach them from here. I kind of envisioned it more like a little torch that you could like cut things like a few inches of range, but
Okay.
you could like cut wires and stuff nearby if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So you start cutting away at that. Group action here, it's starting to sound like? What are you doing, Seraphine?
I was gonna say I have a surveillance jammer. I don't know how much help that would be for me to activate it here.
Yeah, I mean, if they have cameras and stuff, they would jam those.
Jam
All right,
guys.
I guess I'm gonna activate it.
Okay, so you do that, and the other two of you are taking a group action here. So go ahead and roll, or I guess the plasma cutter isn't necessarily a roll either. Let's do agility for that, or strength to like see how many wires you can cut up, basically, with the plasma cutter. You're using a tool, and then
agility.
All right, and then strength, it sounds like, for Vega?
Vega
All right.
rolled a 2.
I rolled a 6.
All right, so the 6 gets reduced to a 5 because Vega failed. So it's still a mixed success.
If I raise from a 2, I'm still failing. Is that correct?
No, that would work. You could raise.
Okay.
So that would become a full success.
All right, I'll do that.
So, with your group action here, you begin hacking and cutting away at these wires. The machinery in the ceiling and floor begins to shift and move as these turrets drop into the room. That's right when Seraphine brings out the jammer and stops their sensors from working. The turrets just spin around aimlessly, trying to find anything to lock onto, and begin just shooting bullets just randomly out into the room, chipping away, almost helping you cut some of the wires occasionally. But on a full success with the group action, this is a 3-die pool of resources that the wires essentially represent. The full success, I'm going to roll those, and we're going to see how many wires you cut. I rolled 2 1s and a 5. You cut through a significant portion. There's only 1 die remaining in their pool of hit points, essentially. As you just rip and tear through these things, bullets flying around the room and ricocheting. The voices come through the speakers now, distraught and pained. Why? Why won't you listen? We're so close. We're so close to our goal. Please, rethink this. What do? The turrets are still spinning, and they're going to hit one of you eventually if you're unlucky.
Funny thing about people... what was that voice? Funny thing about people who are so close to their goal, it always seems to be the moment they get killed by people who couldn't care less. I'm gonna leap dramatically across the floor and just try to stab one of the people directly.
As you say that and rush across the floor, you can see through a big window in the room, which is now opened up during this fight. Perhaps some of the guns shot some panels outside off, and things started to drift away into low gravity, and you could just see the earth below Garden. One more barrier drops. You rush towards Elderwood, these 3 people, and go to stab one of them. Go ahead and give me a roll for it. What kind of... sounds like...
Strength.
I think strength could work.
If I use a bravado spark, would that count? And does that mean I add a die?
Yes, you add a die and you remove the bravado spark.
5.
You rush up towards them and you take a bullet while you run. So increase your harm level by 1. As the bullets are just randomly being fired around, and you're focused on getting to them. One bullet just hits like maybe your calf or something. You stagger a little bit, but you still rush towards them, and boom, you plant the dagger up under the chin of one of these people, cutting away some wires in the meantime. One of the 3 eyes that has been sort of superimposed in the room blinks out. The other 2, why? The turrets are now spinning even faster. One of them says, "You have all made a mistake." Only one voice is speaking now, not 2. This place, it is not the only place that can continue our work. Extreme measures must be taken. The other voice says, No, we cannot. The room starts to glow red. A big digital clock counting down from 60 seconds appears in the room.
Made a mistake? I'm a professional at making mistakes. I'm gonna stab the next one.
All right.
And I will attempt to stab the 3rd one.
All right.
Can I use network intrusion to try and hack the clock?
Absolutely. Let's do a group roll. Stabby rolls from 2 of you and a hack and roll from the 3rd one. I guess cunning would make sense, or do you have a mastery?
I have a mastery in network intrusion.
Absolutely, you can roll that.
Alright.
Alright, I got a 3.
I got a 6.
Okay.
I got a 6.
So, I probably should have announced ahead of time this would be a hard roll. I think it still is. So, the 6 gets reduced to a 5, and then the other 6 doesn't make it a crit because you didn't roll a crit yourself, right? So, it goes down to a 5, and then Vega's failure brings it down to a 4, but a 4 is still a mixed success. So, I think in this case...
I still have a raise that I can use.
You can use a raise if you want.
Raise it.
All right, it goes up to a full success. So you spend this resource, you push extra hard with that last reserve of energy you have. Vega stabs up into one of the other voices, perhaps the one that was telling the other one that, desperate measures are needed. Seraphine swings through the room and just chops the head off the other one, the body kind of collapsing as its weight is no longer supported the same way. Sparks are flying in the room. The turrets are still spinning, just out of control, firing bullets in every direction. And Izzy, you are trying to disable this bomb before it goes off. You go back into that digital landscape. You see the 3 eyes that were there before are now hovering in the air, but clearly closed. They no longer are alive, but their presence is still felt in this place. You dig into the floor, you find the location of the bomb, and you start to disconnect various wires leading into it from the bomb up and into the digital clock hovering in the air. And one by one, after a moment of sweat, while you wonder if you should cut the red wire or the blue wire, you cut the blue wire, and the timer stops. The final barrier around the walled garden remains in place, and the 3 of you have successfully taken out Elderwood, the enigmatic, mysterious hacker that has been notoriously pinging Garden's walls for years. Your threat taken out, and with all of you left to ponder some things you've heard, we will leave you there. What do the 3 of you do in like an epilogue scene here as Vega gets paid? Where do you go with your money? Does Seraphine go back to the Empress? Where does Izzy go? I just kind of want to know what happens to your characters.
Well, Izzy's definitely not going to tell anyone what they heard about the Empress. And since they've been wearing their goggles the whole time, they'll just beg for a job as a ship's mechanic. And just be the little scurrier in the belly of the ship.
All right. Disaster
Vega
prevented. Yes, go ahead.
You can go first.
I would probably vouch for Izzy in their endeavor.
Would Izzy get hired onto your ship, perhaps? Your new ship, whenever you get one? Or will you just find a contact and ship Izzy off there?
I would probably talk to Izzy about it after, I don't know if we officially learned that they were an android, but...
No, only Izzy. Oh, if Izzy was an android. I think Izzy did tell you, right?
Well, we were told immediately that, at the very beginning, that an AI was downloading into a experimental robot body.
Yes, and then you saw a humanoid robot body. Yeah, so you probably know Izzy is an android.
May have put pieces together.
Well, I would probably talk to Izzy about it and say, I don't know if you would want to work on my ship. I do report to the Emperor or the Empress pretty closely, but I can vouch for you if you want to go somewhere else.
I want to get on the furthest ship in the middle of nowhere and see what's out there.
Yeah, so then I would vouch for Izzy and help them get away from the Empress and then return to the Empress.
And what about Vega?
Vega feels very bitter, and he hates that he feels so bitter. He doesn't really disbelieve anything the hackers said. He kind of feels, this person trying to tell us that all the stuff with the Empress is a lie and it's an order that needs to be torn down. He doesn't really disagree. But neither could any of those people be left alive because the job needed to be done. He is always trying to avoid the part of himself that says that you really can't make friends or allies because somebody will always turn on you if their boss tells them to. And he's kind of feeling after all this as much as he likes and respects Seraphine, she is the hand of the Empress. That's really not somebody he can trust any more than the syndicates that he used to do all that work he hated for. So after getting paid, he is going to respectfully take his leave from Seraphine service. He's gonna ask Izzy if they'll maybe want some companionship for at least the next leg of the journey, and maybe they'll part ways. He's kind of feeling a bit of kinship to this person who really can't reveal the truth of who they are to anybody. But, you know, maybe that really is the only thing they could even be said to remotely have in common. So who knows what the future will hold.
Who knows what the future will hold indeed. As the three of you together prevented a catastrophe, or maybe had a hand in preventing a revolution. You'll never know. Elderwood's intentions were enigmatic as always. He could have been lying to you. The Empress could have been lying to you. But all that matters is you lived for another day. More life out there among the stars. And you are thriving better than you were before. And we'll leave your characters there as we end the one-shot. Woo!
Thank you very much.
It's a fun little game.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Thank you for playing.
Yeah. I'm glad we did a one-shot and rather than skipping this week.
Yeah, I was just looking through my systems that I have just in a big folder, like, these are things I want to play and haven't gotten to play yet. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. This is a system literally built for one-shots exclusively, and it has pre-gen characters already. It's perfect. Let's go. Oh, yeah.
It was fun.
It's
I feel
neat.
bad. Go
I feel like we could run it again multiple times, and it would be very different each time, too, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like, so many of those details in this are just like here, I can, maybe I shouldn't actually send the GM sheet, but that would be a little too much of the peek behind the curtain. But it's like lists of like, what's Elderwood's identity? I don't know. Pick 3 from this big list, mash them up, and that's and go with it. Like, what do they seek to accomplish? Here's a bunch of ideas, smash them up, choose a couple, and it's cool. So I just went through and picked a couple and like got a bunch of inspiration and a lot of tables to roll on for inspiration and stuff. And I think it ended up with some cool stuff. Fun times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's also 2 people that weren't even played, so
Right.
Yep.
like I feel like it was really cool that we had an android that could redirect a missile and just do everything, disable a bomb, and
Yeah, like it was completely coincidental that I chose one of the secrets Elderwood could reveal is that the queen was an android, and then we got the android player character as well. Like, that's just fun. It worked out well.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Cool stuff.
yeah, I don't know who else here knows that spoiler, but it really fits.
It does. Yeah, there was definitely some inspiration there.
I don't think Izzy told anyone.
Nope, that's fair.
No.
Well, good
Thank
stuff,
you all
everyone.
for the great game, and I will see you all later.
Later.
All right.